طيب بسم الله والحمد لله والصلاة والسلام على رسول الله وعلى آله وأصحابه ومن تمسك بسنته بإحسان. أما بعد, after praising Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, and sending the salutations upon the Messenger alayhi salatu wassalam, and upon his family and his companions, and upon all those who follow upon his guidance, and to the establishment of the last day. To proceed, ikhwan, فاللهم ما ينفعنا وانفعنا بما علمتنا وربنا زدنا علما والحمد لله رب العالمين. Oh Allah, we ask that you teach us that which will benefit us, and that you benefit us by that which you have taught us, and that you increase all of us upon knowledge. And all praise belong to Allah, the Lord of all the worlds. The Lord of all the worlds. فاللهم أصلح لنا شأننا كله ولا تكلنا لأنفسنا طرفة عين. Oh Allah, we ask that you rectify for us our affairs, all of our affairs, and that you do not leave us to fend for ourselves, not even for the blinking of an eye. طيب, to proceed يا إخوان, فنواصل معكم في هذا اليوم العظيم في هذا اليوم المبارك عونا من الرحمن الرحيم. So we continue in this blessed and noble day of ours, seeking the aid and the assistance of our Lord, the most merciful and the most compassionate. مستفيدين متعلمين من اللغة العربية, as we continue to learn, educate ourselves collectively together, learning from the science of the Arabic language. Our sister says, Assalamu alaikum, would you have time to review Ya an-Nisbi again, inshallah ta'ala? Naam, inshallah ta'ala. طيب, فكنا متكلمين يا إخوان والأخوات عن بعض أنواع الياء. So the last thing we had the honor to discuss was a few of the types of ya, الياء. فقلنا أن الياء أنواع, and we mentioned that there are different types of ya. الياء أنواع. There are different types of ya. Wow. الياء أنواع. There are different types of ya. Different types of ya. طيب, فمن يعيد الأقسام. So who can mention the few types التي تعلمناها قبله, that we had the honor to learn previously? طيب, from them we learn, as our beloved sister, she says, Ya al-Mutakallim. We learned about the Ya al-Mutakallim. Can we close this out, ya ikhwan? طيب, Ya al-Mutakallim, the Ya of the speaker. Al-Mutakallim, the Ya of the speaker. This is only for the speaker. Ya al-Mutakallim, the Ya of the one speaking. You're not attributing anything to someone else. لا, المتكلم يضيف شيئا إليه هو. The one speaking is something to himself or herself. Ya al-mutakallim, the ya of the speaker, the one talking. First person ya, the ya of the speaker, al-mutakallim. فهذا في أغلب الأوقات عندما يملك المتكلم شيئا. And this one, ya ikhwan, is usually when the speaker is mentioning something that he owns or that is his or hers. فيقول المتكلم, so the speaker says, for example, هذا البيت لمن. Someone says to someone else, هذا البيت لمن. من يترجم? Who can translate? This house is whose? Or this house belongs to who? This house is whose? Or you can say belongs to who? طيب, فشخص يسأل شخصا آخر سؤالا. So someone is asking someone else a question. Someone else a question. And they say هذا البيت لمن. This house لمن is whose? Belongs to who? فيقول المتكلم, then the one that's speaking, he says هذا البيت لي. هذا البيت لي. هو بيتي. So the one that is speaking now, the answerer, the one who was asked this question, he says, this house is mine, or this house belongs to me. هو بيتي. It is my house. So this yeah is ya al-mutakallim. Also this yeah here. So he says, this house is mine. It belongs to me. Or we'll make it easy. It is my house. It is my house. This is this house should be. This house belongs to me. It is my house. This house belongs to me. It is my house. طيب الشاهد هنا هذه الياء. The point here is this yeah. On this word here, Juan. I'm trying to make it in the present. Belongs. Huh? Where are my English people? Yeah, Juan. This house. شكرا. طيب هذا البيت لي. This house is mine. هو بيتي. It is my house. This yeah here is the yeah that's showing is mine, that he owns it. The speaker owns it. فيقول مثلا, he says هذا الكتاب كتابي. He says هذا الكتاب كتابي. This book is my book. هذا الكتاب كتابي. This book is my book. This yeah. He's attributing the book to him, meaning yamlikul kitab. He owns the book. It's his book. This book is my book. So the mutakallam أيسر شيء بالنسبة إلى أنواع الياء. والله أعلم. The ya al-mutakallam is, in our opinion, the easiest of the categories of the. It's when someone is showing that the thing is mine. The speaker, it is my object. The object is mine. ولكن الياء النسبي لا يملكه أحد بل يضيف ذلك الشيء إلى شيء آخر. قد يكون متكلما قد يكون غائبا. But the ya النسبي is a little more tricky. Here, no one owns anything. You're attributing something to someone else. It could be the speaker, it could be the third person. ولكن الياء المتكلم دائما وأبدا يكون للمتكلم. But the ya al-mutakallim is always going to be attributed to the mutakallim only. The ya al-nisbi is a little more vast, a little more broad. Ya al-nisbi, this one can be attributed to anyone, not only the speaker. So pay attention there. So you're attributing something to someone else. مثلا المخاطب, you're speaking to someone. You say أنت أمريكي. مثلا you're talking to someone, a male. You say to him أنت أمريكي. You are American. يضيف أمريكا إليه. You're attributing America to him. You're attributing him to America. Maybe he's from America. ولد في أمريكا. He was born in America. So you say you are American. He's not the mutakallim. No. He doesn't own America. No. You're attributing him. You say to someone ما منهجك. طيب. You say to someone طيب لا بس. You say to someone ما منهجك. What is your methodology? You say to someone ما منهجك. You're talking to a female. You say to someone ما من ما من ما منهجك. What is your methodology? How do you practice Islam? What is your minhaj? What is your methodology? What is your way? What is your way of understanding and implementing Islam? What is your method or way of understanding and practicing Islam? All that in one word. What is your minhaj? Meaning, how do you understand Islam? And not only understand it, but how do you practice it? This is your minhaj. Not only your understanding, no. How do you believe in Allah? How do you practice your way of life? And then the sister says, Ana hadithiyya. She says, Ana hadithiyya. He says, I am hadithi. Hadithiyya. This ya here before the ta marbuta is the same ya. Ya an-nisbi. She's attributing the narrations of the Prophet of Allah understood by the companions to herself. She says, I am hadithi. Meaning, I understand, I practice Islam according to the hadith of the Prophet of Allah understood by the companions. No. So one word, and this is eloquent to say, ikhwan. You don't always have to use the same phrases. You can use the meanings of them also. You can say amni. I'm hadithi, I'm athari. One brother said, I thought you were Salafi. I said, I hope I'm Salafi. I pray I'm Salafi. He said, yes, but I heard you say in class that Hadithi. He said, yes, I hope I'm Hadithi. What's the meaning of, what's the difference? They mean the same. They mean the same. So this is the Ya an-Nisbi. You're attributing something to someone. The man follows the Shafi'i madhab. You say to someone, Ma madhabuki. What is your madhab? Ma madhabuka. Now you're talking to a male. Ma madhabuka. Madhab can also mean methodology. Madhab can also be understanding. Madhab can also be your position. You're talking to a brother and you're talking about fiqh. And you say, what's your madhab here? Meaning, what do you understand about this issue? So there are many ways you can use the word madhab. You can say, what is your understanding? It's one meaning. It can also mean position. It can also mean methodology. It can also mean school of thought, meaning in the natural understanding school of thought. It doesn't mean school of thought literally. It means if you follow the Maliki madhab, the Shafi madhab, the Hanbali madhab, the madhab of Sufyan al-Thawri, meaning his understanding. But it doesn't mean school of thought. That's a terrible translation. So we won't say that. That's not an accurate translation. What's your understanding, position, methodology? Tayyib. And then a person says, madhabi shafi'iyun. And then a person says, my madhab is shafi'i. Oh, we'll give you a way to say both in this sentence. Madhabi shafi'i. Now pay attention here. This person says, madhabi, my madhab is shafi'i. Who can translate? My madhab is shafi'i. What did he say? Hey, his understanding, what he understands is according to the understanding that was derived by Imam al-Shafi. طيب ما هو الشاهد هنا في هذه الجملة? What's the point in this sentence here? Let's see who's really paying attention. What did I do in this sentence? Hey, ahsanti. He mentioned both. مذهبي يا المتكلم. My madhab, my understanding, or my position, or my methodology is the methodology of Shafi'i. So this ya here is nisbi. So in this one we use both. Mutakallam, my madhab. That's eloquent to use. When you're in class and you say to your sheikh, to your imam, your student of knowledge, your teacher, your husband, your wife, your son, whoever you're learning from, and you say, Ya akhi, ma madhabuka huna? Where's your madhab here? Meaning, what's your understanding? That's a tremendous way to use it. In the books of al-fiqh, when they say, wa madhabu shafi'i, Imam An-Nawawi says that a lot. He says, and the madhab of a shafi'i, this is a benefit for you brothers and sisters studying fiqh. An-Nawawi says this a lot. Al-Imam An-Nawawi, rahimahullah. He says this phrase a lot. This should be a noon. An-Nawawi. He says, المذهب الشافعي مذهب الشافعي كذا وكذا وكذا. He says the madhab of a Shafi'i is such and such. Now pay attention here. When a Nawawi says this, a lot of people misunderstand. When a Nawawi says it, Al-Imamu An-Nawawi, which he has this, An-Nawawi, who's paying attention? What has this? Oh, close, super close. Nasbi, Ahsant, Nisbi. Remember, the mutakallim is the easiest way because only the speaker can use it. If it's not the speaker, it's not the mutakallim. So I'm quoting Imam An-Nawawi. An-Nawawi, why do they call him An-Nawawi? That's not his name. They attribute Nawa to him. Nawa is where he's from. So he's called Nawawi, like Bukhari. Bukhari is not his name. That's his town, his land. Shawkaanee is not his name. Shawkaan is a place in Yemen, outside of Sana'a. So they call him Shawkaanee. They're attributing him Nawawi. You're attributing him to his land. Al-Bukhari. You're attributing him to his land. So this one is Nisbi or Nasabi. Imam An-Nawawi used to say, قال مذهب الشافعي. Right, which has this? What about the second yeah? Huh? And Nisbi, once again, both examples. So Imam An-Nawawi often says, and the madhab of Shafi'i is such and such. Now what is he saying here? Shafi'i understands, or the madhab of the Shafi'iyya understood? Look at the phrase. He says, madhabu al-Shafi'i. Qala, they say, or it says, or he says. Is he talking about Shafi'i or Shafi'i's madhab? It's very important for you brothers and sisters studying fiqh.
I would say the second one.
طيب, Shafi'i's understanding or his madhab? Our sister says the second. You guys agree? Kullukum ماذا متفقون. All of you agree. For the first time, all the Muslims agree. Allahu Akbar. May Allah bless you all. طيب, when you see this phrase by Nawawi, وَمَذْهَبُ الشَّافِعِي, and the madhab of Shafi'i is, he's talking about Shafi'i himself. When he says, وَمَذْهَبُ الشَّافِعِيَّةِ, أو وَقَالَ الشَّافِعِيَّةِ. If he says, وَقَالَ الشَّافِعِيَّةِ, you see this phrase, and the Shafi'iyya say, this is the madhab. One is the Imam, and one is the madhab of the Imam. Two different positions. Sometimes the madhab itself, and this is why many scholars are not big fans of teaching what the madhab says. Not saying it's not a benefit. I'm not saying that. But many scholars don't focus on what does the madhab say. They focus on what does the Imam say. Two different positions. Our sister Zakiya says, the one who follows that understanding. Yes. Not the madhab. When you say the Shafi'iyya says, now you're talking about the Shafi'i madhab. Meaning those that attribute themselves only to the madhab of a Shafi'i. So two different things. One is, what did Shafi'i say? What did the Imam, what did the madhab, those that came after him and established a madhab? He didn't do that. He didn't tell them to do that. He didn't encourage them to do that. They did that on their own, way after him. The humbling thing is, when you study fiqh, you're going to see that the Imam has one opinion, and the people that came after him who say they follow him, usually they contradict what he says. And you find that more than half the madhab. So when you're studying al-fiqh, focus on what the Imam said based upon his evidence. And you're going to see a tremendous difference. You guys, أنتم تفهمون هذا? Our sister says, question. نعم, تفضلي. You can ask. Our sister Nadira or Nadira.
Su'alan said,
تفضلي.
if there's an alif lam in front, would that give you an indication that it's a ya nasbi?
If it's an alif wal lam at the beginning of the word,
Would that give you an indication that it's a ya or nasbi?
it could, because if it's a ism type and it's a alam, then it's never going to have an alif wal lam. Or if it has an alif wal lam, it can't be nisbi. You can it can't be mutakallam. You can say that. Our sis is asking, for example, if the word has alif wal lam, and you say, for example, give me a word, yeah, Juan. Al-Yabanu, Al-Yabani, Al-Yabani. طيب. Since this word has alif wal lam, it cannot be the mutakallim here. It's talking about a country. Or like you may say, Al-Bukhari, for example. Al-Bukhari. Al-Bukhari. He's from Bukhara. So you say Al-Bukhari. So since it has alif wal lam here, you know this can't be al-mutakallam, because it can't have both. If it was a mutakallam, then the alif wal lam will be taken away. So you can do that. That will be a high level way of recognizing it. You could do that. That would be a good way to do it also. If you see alif wal lam, then it can't be the speaker, because if it was his, it wouldn't have alif wal lam. Another way, if you know the word, if it's something that it can't be possessed, you can't own the methodology, you can't own a country, you can't possess. So if you know the meaning of the word, the object itself, this would be another way. But the guide of our sis is a good way also. If you see alif wal lam, you will still have to know the meaning of the word though, but that will be a good guide. If you see alif wal lam, then it can't be the mutakallam, because if it was his, just say Bukhara. I won't use that one. Just say the word balad. He says, Hada baladi. This is my land. This is my country. Right? So here, if he owns it, say if he says, Hada baladi, if he owns it, right? This is my land. Say it was his land. If he owns it, then it would be mutakallam, if he possessed it. But here, now this one would contradict our sister's guide. That's why that would be a general guide. Here, had that beledi, this is my land, my city, my country. This wouldn't be mutakallam, although it looks like it. but it doesn't have alif lam. So you can use that guide, but that'll be general. One of the easiest ways to recognize is if you know the word, if it can be owned, if it can be possessed by something, then most of the time it's going to be mutakallim. And if it can only be used for the first person, it will be a nice way too. If you can't use it in the third person, second person, only the speaker can use it, then that'll be an easy way to identify it too. Here, Hada Beledi, this is my land. When you look at it, you may think, okay, it's his land, he owns it. No, but you don't own the land. He's attributing himself to the land. So this will be a nisbi. No, Allah alam. May Allah bless you all, ya ikhwan. So there are many guides you can use, but if the guide is absolute, then it's going to be, for example, Alwani. You can say that. That has alif lam. So there's going to be many guides you can use, especially in Arabic. But a lot of principles or guides are not really principles if you can contradict them, or they're just the majority. Sometimes we use principles out of context. That's why many of us get in trouble with principles. We hear something is a principle, and not every time somebody says something is a principle, it's actually a principle. That's another point. You have to make sure it's a real principle. And then some principles are not mutlaqan. They're not absolute. They are al-aghlabiyya. They are most of the time. But that would be a nice way to use that in the Lana's best. طيب, so today يا إخوان سنسمع عفوا تفضلي.
I was mentioning Alwani would be the case where that wouldn't apply because Alwani
alif lam.
Yeah, and it also has the
No, so there are going to be a few. That'll be a good example. Some words can start with alif lam. Some words the alif lam are added, and that's the tricky part. So you can use some guides, but if it's absolute, it's absolute. If it's not absolute, then you have to say it's not absolute also. But you can use that as a guide, but as long as you remember, that's a guide. Our sister says, the one who follows that understanding. Our brother says, Salaam alaikum, my internet connection is the worst. No problem. What country are you in? Muhammad Asad. What country are you in? There was a sister sometime, may Allah reward her and make us better than how the people view us. And she used to follow our lessons from, what country was she in, Ikhwan? She lived in somewhere in the UK in the time, or Britain, or she was in Africa somewhere, but the time was different. And she used to wake up and Allahu Akbar. So we understand the time zones and also the internet connections. It's recorded, so you can also go back at a later date and follow. And may Allah bless you, Muhammad Asad. So today, Ikhwan, we're going to do a listening drill. This is something we used to do some time ago, and we hope we get back into that, inshallah ta'ala, where we take some of the mashaykh who speak clearly and slow, and we benefit from their Arabic, inshallah. So today we're going to listen to our shaykh, one of the clearest, beautiful speakers from the major scholars of today. And his father is a major scholar of today. And he is a Shaykh Abdul Razak Ibn Abdul Muhsin. A Shaykh Abdul Razak Ibn Abdul Muhsin. He is the son of the big Shaykh of Hadith, Shaykh Abdul Muhsin Al-Abbad, Hafidhahullah Ta'ala. So this is his son. The father is one of the major members of today. The son is not like the Abi, but it's close. Allahu Akbar. Shaykh Abdul Razak Ibn Abdul Muhsin Al-Badr. The Abi is holding, ya ikhwan, from the scholars of Hadith. The son is not a Hadith scholar, but his Abi is a Hadith Sheikh, a scholar of Hadith, still alive today. The big Sheikh, Sheikh Abdul Muhsin Al-Abbad. So this is the class where he's going over Usul Sunnah by Imam Ibn Abi Zamanin, rahimahullah. Another Imam of Ahl Sunnah. There are many ikhwan. And a lot of great Imams have the same title as Imam Ahmed Ibn Abi Zamanin. We're going to do it how we normally used to do, where we're going to stop every few minutes, and I want you to listen and try to write down a word or two that you heard the Sheikh say. So we're going to listen, and we're going to stop and try to derive some words that we heard the Sheikh mention in his talk. And remember, when you're listening, training your ear, you can listen to the same audio over, and you're training your ear. So it can be the same audio. That's okay. Or you can switch. But try to focus firstly on those ulama that speak slowly. And as you get faster and faster, then you can listen to the fast ulama. That's up to you. But if you can't really understand them, then it's not really a benefit yet. So everyone gets something to write with. We're going to derive some benefit, inshallah ta'ala, from what the Sheikh is saying. Sheikh Abdul Razak, Hafidullah ta'ala. The book, once again, is Usul Sunnah by Imam Ibn Abi Zamanin, rahimahullah ta'ala. The brother said, what's one of the benefits of listening to the ulama speak in Arabic? It helps train your ear. It helps train your ear. You can listen to the news in Arabic, some cartoons, what we used to do. They have the Imam Ahmed series in Fusha, Allah Akbar. There are many things you can watch just to benefit. Just listen. You don't have to watch it if you don't want to watch. No problem. You can blur the screen out and just listen to the Sheikh or the speaker talk. Alhamdulillah, Rabbil Alameen. Let's begin, inshallah.
Rahim. Alhamdulillah. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen. وأشهد أن لا إله إلا الله شريك له وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله صلى الله وسلم عليه وعلى آله وأصحابه أجمعين. علمنا بما علمتنا وزدنا علما وأصلح لنا شأننا كله ولا تكلنا طرفة عين. أما بعد، أسأل عز وجل أن يبارك لنا في مجلسنا هذا ونا فيه بالعلم النافع الحق والهدى، وأن يغنمنا الخير والبركة، إنه تبارك وتعالى سميع قريب مجيب. نحن معاشر الكرام في هذا المجلس نتذاكر كتابا قيما ومؤلفا نافعا من مؤلفات أحد الأئمة الأجلاء في بيان عقيدة أهل السنة والجماعة في كتاب الله عز وجل وسنة نبيه صلوات الله وسلامه وبركاته عليه. دين السنة للإمام أبي عبد الله الأندلسي المشهور بابن أبي زمانين رحمه الله تعالى، المتوفى عام 99. وكتابه هذا كتاب نافع في بابه، جمع فيه رحمه الله تعالى جمعا طيبا للنصوص النبوية عن السلف في باب الاعتقاد وإجادة في التبويب لموعات هذا الكتاب. هذه الدلائل والشواهد على ما بوأ رحمه الله تعالى بوسع، مع نقل جملة الآثار عن السلف من الصحابة عنهم بإحسان. ونشرع مستعينين بالله تبارك وتعالى في قراءة الكتاب، مستمدين العون من الله جل في علاه.
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم.
So now, inshallah ta'ala, let's take some word the Sheikh say. Alright, who wants to go first, inshallah? Now we're going to take a few words that we heard, inshallah. Father Sheikh Nakir. Now, Father. Alright, he says, what's the first word you mentioned before ilm? Alright, zidna, ahsant. So the Sheikh, when he made his dua, and he said, Allahumma zidna ilman. Allahumma zidna ilman. So tremendous dua that every student of knowledge, every Muslim should say. Allahumma, O Allah. Allahumma, I ask that you increase us in knowledge. Ilman. Allahumma zidna ilman. O Allah, increase us in knowledge. Alright, he also says ilmun or ilman nafi', beneficial knowledge. Remember knowledge types. Ilmun nafi' or ilmu ghayru nafi'. Knowledge can be broken down into two types. Beneficial knowledge and knowledge that is not beneficial. Not all knowledge is beneficial. طيب. علم نافع, beneficial knowledge. علم نافع. طيب, give us one more, Sheikh. طيب, سميع. When he makes dua, when he made mention Allah's name, he says, فَإِنَّهُ سَمِيعٌ. Allah Ta'ala is the all-seer. سَمِيعٌ. I believe you said also mujib. He also mentioned the word, I think he said Sami'un Qareebun. No. Allah is also near. All these are derived from ayat. Sami'un, Allah is the all-hearer. Qareebun, Allah is close, the all-close, or the one that's the closest to us. Mujib, the one who answers the dua. Mujib. Nasus, nah, that's a good one. Mujib. طيب, Samir, the all-hearer. Qareeb, one that's close. And Mujib, the one who answers. who answers. The one who is close and Samir or hearing. So once again, ya ikhwan, these are just small drills that we can do. So it's one thing to write the word 100 times. It's one thing to speak. It's another thing to practice your hearing. As I mentioned by now, from what I see of all of you, we should increase ourselves in listening, especially to those who speak Arabic. The ulama are there. You have Arabic cartoons, radio shows, but with radio shows, they speak a lot of slang. So you have to be careful there. You don't want to memorize the slang. Right now, we're studying the Arabic. That's going to be beneficial to us the most. Also, we use the word nusus. The word nos is the text. Nosun. Nusus is the plural. Nusus. The text. When there's more than one text. The nusus. The evidence. The text. No. Who else has some words that they heard the Sheikh say? في مجالس. Good. طيب في مجالس. Alright, في in the sittings or the gatherings. This can also be a consultation. في مجالس. In the sitting or in the gathering. Plural. No. So when you go back and listen to ulama, listen to the different programs or whatever you're listening to train your ear, you want to listen, but you also want to have, our sister says majlis. She also heard majlis. Good. You want to make sure you're benefiting. So you want to write down a few words, even if it's one word, and then listen to it again. And then again, the more you listen, you're going to find yourself comprehending more. And it's the benefit of. So what's another word? Fi majalis. We have majlis. What else? A'imma. Mashallah. One thing you love about the ulama, ya ikhwan, and this is something that I pray all the students of knowledge increasing. Because nowadays, amongst our beloved students of knowledge, from the brothers and the sisters, may Allah raise them and increase them, is that you don't see this phrase from them a lot anymore. But it's a phrase you always want to refer back to. No matter how high you get, no matter how much knowledge you acquire, you always want to refer back to the imma, to the ulama, to the people of knowledge. Listen to the ulama, watch how many times they refer to the scholars. Although he's a scholar, our sister says, would you be able to give us some good links to listen to? Inshallah, inshallah. In this lecture here, for example, any of the lectures of the ulama, especially the scholars of the sunnah, watch how often they refer to the scholars of the past. Watch. And watch how few they refer to themselves. And that's a benefit, especially for us in the West. Because one sickness that we have adopted is that we think that we are from the people of knowledge. And that's incorrect. Even though you're a student of knowledge, you are not from the people of knowledge. The people of knowledge are one people. The people of knowledge are the scholars. The students of knowledge هم الذين يطلبون العلم. They are those who are seeking the knowledge. They're on the path of the knowledge. Yes. But sometimes the students, may Allah reward all the students and bless all the students and raise the status to always, always, always stay in contact with the scholars. To the scholars. You did your research, you still refer back to the scholars. And some people get offended. They say, well, why do you guys go to Saudi to the scholars? And why do y'all go to Yemen? And why do y'all go to Kuwait? And why Africa? And why? Those scholars are not from America. Those scholars are not from our lands. Those scholars don't understand the gripe of the black man. Those scholars, tell you, everything that you're saying, even if it is true, is not a condition. Yes, Yemen is different than Africa. Africa is different than Saudi. Saudi is different than America. Somalia is different than Kuwait. Kuwait, no problem. This man didn't grow up in Philadelphia. No problem. This brother didn't grow up in Yemen. No problem. That's not the point. You're asking the people of knowledge, whatever your issue is, what does Allah and His Messenger say about it? How do I attack this issue from the Quran and Sunnah? Doesn't have to be in any land. The Sunnah is not restricted to Saudi, Yemen, Kuwait, Africa, America. La, 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 la. And I'm not saying you can't talk about the issues of the black community. I'm saying if you address any culture's issues as a Muslim on the Sunnah, then you have to be ready to address every other culture's issues also. That's something that we're not doing yet, ikhwan. Now you have panels where you see panels of the black Imam. That's not from Islam. Now you have panels of the African American Imam. That's not from Quran and Sunnah. You have panels for the Arab Imam. That's not from Quran and Sunnah. Panels of the African Imam. That's not from Quran and Sunnah. The Quran and Sunnah is not restricted to the African American, the Somalian, the Arab, the Yemeni, the Qatari. No, the Quran and Sunnah is absolute. But we're calling the same thing we think we're calling against. We're actually doing it. When we restrict our speech to speech of the African American community only. No, that's not Quran and Sunnah. Your title is incorrect. You're restricting something you don't have the right to restrict. The Muslim on the Sunnah should not do that. He's trying to attack all the injustices, all the disbelief, all the sins, all the inhirafat, the deviations and the likes. Not just the issues of the Chinese man. No. Not just the issues of the Arab man. No. The African American man. No. The black community only. No. No. If you're going to call on the Sunnah, call on the Sunnah. You're going to speak out against every injustice. The injustice of the black communities, the white communities, the Chinese communities, the Arab communities, the African communities, the Somalian communities, the Jamaican communities. That's the Quran and Sunnah. Not to restrict the ikhwan. So we have to get back to calling to the Quran and Sunnah by way of the Quran and Sunnah. And the brother says, well, those ulama you refer back to, they don't live where I live. Okay. Where is that a condition in the Quran and Sunnah? When the people of Yemen came to the Prophet of Allah, the Prophet didn't live in Yemen. When the people of Africa came to the Prophet of Allah, the Prophet didn't live in Africa. It's not a we create conditions, ya ikhwan, laysat min kitabillahi wa min sunnati nabi alayhi salam, that are not in the Quran and Sunnah. And we have to be mindful and we have to be careful of that. So, what's another phrase we heard the Sheikh say? Our sister says, Barakallahu lana. The Sheikh made a dua. Allahu Akbar. He makes a lot of dua. Sheikh Abdul Razak, him, Sheikh Salah, Sheikh Muqad, they make a lot. Every other sentence, they make a dua. Our Sheikh Abdul Wadi'iyah, she makes the most dua you're going to hear. Every 4 sentences, she dua. Allahu Akbar. So the Sheikh said, Barakallahu lana. May Allah bless us. Allahu Akbar. Who else has another one that the Sheikh said? What's another word? Who didn't go yet? Who we didn't hear from? A'imma. The Sheikh said the word a'imma. Write that word down, ya ikhwan. Imam is the mufrad, is the singular. Imam is the plural. Imamun. Imam is the singular. And imam, the jama' is a'imma. A'imma. Imam. Imams, the plural. Imams, the singular. Imam. A'imma. You can be an imam of a masjid, and there's another imam when you're talking about the level of one's knowledge. There's a level called imam, which is higher than sheikh. Every imam is a sheikh, but every sheikh is imam. Not talking about position. You have an imam, that's a mawqif, his position, his title. And then you have that's a sha'n, his daraja and knowledge. So you have an imam, and you're talking about his mawqif, his position, his title. So the word imam can be a mawqif, his title. And you have another, the word imam, not talking about a title, talking about a status, his level. Fadali. No. This is asking about the verse, talking about Ibrahim. And we made you an imam. Here is not talking about his position or his title. It's talking about his status, but not an imam of a masjid. Ibrahim wasn't an imam of a masjid. He's talking about his status, his sha'n, his daraja, his level. So position, yes, but not a position of like a masjid, no, or a university, no. His position in his knowledge, his position being over the people. The word imam can also be a khalifa. So every khalifa is an imam. He's the leader of the Muslims. The khalifa is the highest level of being over someone. He's the governor, higher than a governor. He's the ruler, the leader of the Muslims. So here, the word imam has many meanings. The word imam can be, as you mentioned, the title of a masjid. He is our imam, meaning that's his mawqifun lil masjid, his position in the masjid, or he's our imam in the school. That's his title, his position in the masjid, in the school. And then there's another way you can use it. No title or position, but there's a status, like in the verse. He's the leader of the Muslims. Or in his knowledge, when you say Imam al-Bukhari, and this is something that we should use. You wouldn't say Sheikh al-Bukhari. No, you're diminishing him if you do that. You wouldn't say Shaykh al-Bukhari. La. He's higher than a Shaykh. You say Al-Imam or Imam al-Bukhari. No one is going to refer to Bukhari as a Shaykh. No. He's higher than the Shaykh. You're going to say Imam al-Bukhari. Imam Muslim. Imam al-Tirmidhi. Imam Malik. Imam al-Shafi. Imam. So here it's talking about their status, their knowledge. So it's his position of knowledge, not in title. Like Ibn Abbas. You wouldn't say Sheikh Ibn Abbas. No. You're going to say Imam al-Bukhari. Imam Ibn Abbas. Imam Muqbil. They reached a higher level. Remember, Imam in status is higher than being a Sheikh. A Sheikh is a general term for the scholars. That's general. Then you have specific term. Imam is of the highest level. You don't see a lot of scholars in Islam called Imam. There are only a few. You don't say Sheikh al-Nawawi. No. You don't say Sheikh al-Shawkaanee. No. They reach the highest level. You wouldn't say a Sheikh al-Nawawi. No. He's higher than that. He reached from the highest levels of scholarship. You're going to say Imam al-Nawawi. Imam al-Shawkaanee. Imam al-Nasa'i. Imam Ibn Taymiyyah. These are great Imams. Where's my alif wa lam, ya ikhwan? Hold on one second. These should have alif wa lam on them. This should have alif wa lam also. Al-Imam al-Nawawi. Al-Imam al-Shafi'i. Imam al-Shafi wasn't the Imam of a masjid. Imam Ahmed was not the Imam of the masjid. Al-Bukhari was not the Imam of the masjid. His title was higher than being an Imam of a masjid. You can be an Imam of a masjid and you may not be a scholar. One is talking about your title in this community, in this masjid. One is talking about your status and knowledge. Two different things. So let's take one more word and then let's get back to the audio, inshallah. So you understand the word Imam. Imam has a few meanings. Imam, al-Imam, and be a leader in general. A leader. And be the leader. For example, of the Muslims, he's called the Khalifa, not the president. No. Not the king. No. Those words are not from the Sunnah. You have Al-Khalifa, the leader of the Muslims. He's an Imam also, but a specific Imam. The main, the leader, the head Imam. The leader of the Muslims. The leader. Right. You can also call him the Amir. Then you have an Imam talking about his daraja in knowledge. This one is specific. First one is general. Imam is darajatun il-ilmi, in his knowledge, his scholarship. So this one is specific. When you see Imam in front of their name, this is the intent. Not he's the Imam of the masjid. No, that's not talking about his level of knowledge. That's his position in the masjid. The word Imam can also be his level in knowledge. And that's not every sheikh. No, only a few. Look at today. Only a few scholars you call Imam of today. In the past, our sheikh used to say, A'immatu hadha al-asr arba', that the Imams of today are four. And then he says, Al-Imam al-Uthaymeen, Al-Imam bin Hamza, Al-Imam al-Uthaymeen, Wal-Imam Ibn Baz, that's a sheikh, Wal-Imam Albani, Wal-Imam Muqbil from Yemen. This is of today. Al-Imam Muqbil, Ibn Hadi al-Wadi'i, all of them have passed away. May Allah have mercy upon all of them. Today you may add Al-Imam al-Fawzan. You can add him there also. You can also add the Imam of Africa, our sheikh who just passed away recently, rahimahullah, al-Fawzan. He's an Imam. You can also add Al-Imam al-Ethiopi from Africa, Muhammad ibn Ali. Al-Ethiopi, rahimahumullah ta'ala. May Allah have mercy upon all of them. Mumkin al-Sheikh Luhaydan. I don't know if Sheikh Luhaydan reached the level of being an Imam. He's from the major scholars, no doubt. But is he an Imam? Allah Alam. I don't know any scholars who refer to him as an Imam. Who else am I missing here, Ikhwan? Who's alive that's considered an Imam? Salih Fawzan, Muhammad ibn Ali, Ethiopi. They're the ones that. Sheikh Muhammad from Egypt. No, I don't think he reached that level yet, Ikhwan. This is like the elite of the elite, ya Ikhwan. Not every major scholar. Who else am I missing? I know I'm missing a few, ya Ikhwan. Sheikh Abdul Karim Al-Khudayr. He may be considered Imam. Allah Alam. I know he's an encyclopedia of knowledge. The Sheikh Al-Mawsu'a. These are the two that come to my mind. I'm not saying these are the only ones. Sheikh Abdullah Qudiyan. Maybe Sheikh Abdullah Qudiyan. Maybe. See the difference here, Ikhwan. This is not our opinions. So you try to see who from the scholars preceded you in saying that. Sheikh Fawzan was called an Imam. When Sheikh Uthaymeen was on his deathbed, he was asked, Ya Sheikh, man min ulama'ina tansahunana bihim. Some of the brothers asked Sheikh Uthaymeen, Ya Sheikh, who from the Imams do you recommend, if something was to happen to you, who do you recommend us to refer back to? And he mentioned three. Now, I'm not saying Sheikh Uthaymeen was saying these are the only three. La. That's not what it looks like. But from them, at the head of them are these three. And all three of them are still alive. And this is something that humbles me today. But we only hear about one. He said from them, Al-Imam Al-Fawzan. He said, وَهُوَ صَاحِبُ السُنَّةِ وَإِمَامٌ فِي الْفِقْهِ. And this is what he said about Sheikh Fawzan. He said, in my opinion, he's an imam. He said, هُوَ صَاحِبُ السُنَّةِ هُوَ صَاحِبُ السُنَّةِ وَإِمَامٌ, there's our word again, وَإِمَامٌ فِي الْفِقْهِ. He said he's an imam in fiqh. That's a tremendous title. He said, هُوَ صَاحِبُ السُنَّةِ. He said he's a person on the sunnah. وَإِمَامٌ فِي الْفِقْهِ. And he's an imam in fiqh. And then he mentions our sheikh from Mecca, Sheikh Abdul Aziz Al-Rajihi. He says, Sheikh Abdul Aziz, and all of them are still alive, ya ikhwan. Al-Rajihi, who just finished the explanation of Bukhari, 14 volumes or so, who also just finished the explanation of Muslim, 18 volumes. Allahu Akbar. Still alive, holding. Our beloved brother Abkil Ingram, Hafidullah, used to refer to him a lot. This sheikh is holding. Our beloved brother in Maryland, our beloved brother Akil Ingram, used to refer to him and contact him a lot for questions and answers. This imam is holding, ya ikhwan. Sheikh Abdul Aziz Al-Rajihi, holding. And then the third imam Sheikh Uthaymeen mentioned was a Sheikh Abdul Rahman Nasir Al-Barraq. A Sheikh Al-Barraq. He's still alive also, holding. But here in the West, we only hear about the famous ones. And knowledge is not about fame. That's a misconception here, ikhwan. Just because this sheikh is more famous than that sheikh doesn't mean he's higher. No, ya ikhwan, it's not like that. There are many imams who were similar to the great imams of the past, who were also there, who you never hear about. I'll give you one. There was an imam, his name was Imam Layth ibn Sa'ad. Layth ibn Sa'ad. Some scholars say he was similar to Imam Ahmed. Similar to Imam Malik in fiqh. Some scholars say he surpassed Imam Malik. You never hear about him. This is why I hope the brothers and sisters in the West continue to learn, continue to seek knowledge. Because to us, the students of knowledge are our scholars. And that's dangerous, ya ikhwan. We love the students of knowledge, but keep them on their level. This is my student of knowledge. He teaches me. Allahu Akbar. But keep the ulama on their level. The students of knowledge on their level. The common folk on their level. We don't do that in the West. The common folk is a student. The students are the ulama. The ulama, we don't even know who they are. So we do an injustice to ourselves, firstly, to the common folk, secondly, the student of knowledge, thirdly, and the scholars, fourthly. You ask the average sister, who's your sheikh, sister? She's going to say, my imam. She's going to say, student of knowledge, such and such. She's going to say, my husband. And that's okay if her husband is a sheikh or her husband is a student. Alhamdulillah. But I'm talking about in general. Many of us don't know who the scholars are. And we don't know who the students of knowledge are. And we don't know who the common folk are. So we remove the scholars, put the students in the scholars' place, and the common folk in the students' place. So now everyone's a sheikh now. So you don't know who's really from the ulama, and who's from the students, and who's from the common folk. You don't know. And this is dangerous, ya ikhwan. And I remember our Sheikh Abu Fida used to tell us in Yemen, أنا لا أحزن لكم طلبة العلم في بلادكم لا أنا أحزن من الذين محتاجون إليكم أنتم. The Sheikh used to say, I'm not saddened by the students of knowledge in your country, those that can call the ulama, do the research, look up the issues, contact the scholars to see if they're right or wrong. He says, no, I'm not sad from that. He said, I'm sad from the ones that can't do that, and then they look to you, brothers and sisters, the students of knowledge, as their scholars. And that's dangerous, ikhwan. The more you seek knowledge, the more you respect the level of the scholars and the level of the students of knowledge also. But you don't blind follow them. You respect them and you honor them and you make dua for them. But you know their statement is not the Quran and Sunnah. Their positions are not blind. You don't blind follow them. No, you love them. And you raise the ulama and you respect the ulama and you show honor to the ulama and you show honor to the students of knowledge and you love the students of knowledge. But you don't blind follow them. What teaches you not to blind follow them? The Quran and Sunnah. But you don't disrespect them, no, and degrade them, no. You love the people of knowledge, and you love those who are on the path of knowledge. So let's get back, ya ikhwan. Our sheikh says, our sister says, مثل سيبويه, like Sibawayh what? هل يمكن أن يسمي علماء اللغة إماما أيضا فقط علماء الحديث والفقه? Our sister's asking, the word ulama or alim, is this only for the scholars of fiqh and hadith?
I mean regarding calling them imams, like can you call the scholars of like Luga also those ones who are like proficient in their field the same way imams in that nature, like can you call Sibawayh an imam or is he from the ulama?
No. The word, you have the word sheikh, and then you have the plural shuyukh and mashayikh, and then you have the word alim, and then you have the plural ulama. Then you have the word imam, and you have the plural a'imma. Now pay attention here, ya ikhwan. You have the word sheikh. Now sheikh is the mufrad. And then you have the plural, it has two, shuyukh. Or you can say mashayikh. You can say shuyukh, and then you can say mashayikh. And then you have the word, so this is a scholar, a general scholar. And then you have the alim. Now the alim is a high level scholar. So you have the word alim. Not every sheikh is an alim. No. Alim is like a high level, like a major scholar. You can call him alim. That will be a major scholar. The plural of alim would be ulama'u. Now ulama is the plural of alim. This is the major scholars, like the high level scholars, not just a general scholar. So you're going to write high level, major. You say this one is an alim. You said he's a scholar? No. He's a high level scholar. Alim. And the other terms too. And then we learn imam. Imam, once again, is high level, talking about knowledge. High level. Imam. An imam will be higher than an alim, but an alim will be close. A sheikh is general. So imam is similar to alim, but Imam will be higher. Alright, now all of these are in every science. Tafsir, hadith, language, mustalah, history. Usually if you are an Imam, you are an Imam in every science. But he could be an Imam just in one. But then you would specify. You may say he's an Imam of hadith. He's an Imam of grammar. He's an Imam of tafsir. He's an Imam like that. So yes, it could be in any field. It could be in every field. If you use the word Imam, he's a scholar, a big scholar in every science. Not just one. But you could refer to only one. Like Ibn Taymiyyah, some people thought he was only a scholar in one field until he talked about another field. And then he talks about tafsir, and you say, okay, maybe this is the only science he's like that in. Until he talks about Arabic, and then you say, okay, only those two. Until he talks about history, and then you say, okay, only those three. He's an Imam of Allahu Akbar. Like a Shafi'i. Some people forget a Shafi'i is a scholar of the language. People forget that. He's an Imam of Hadith, an Imam of Al-Fiqh, an Imam of language also. He's a grammarian. And people forget he was a poet. Imam Shafi'i was, Allahu Akbar, one of the greatest scholars Imam Ahmad ever had. Probably his most elite scholar. Ahmad said, I never met nobody like a Shafi'i. But Ahmed was more memorized in hadith. But Shafi was more, he was stronger than Ahmed in language. Yeah, he was a poet. Naam, Imam Shafi was a poet also. And he was a grammarian. And he was a scholar of fiqh and a scholar of hadith. So today we went over our time slightly. Let's take 5 more minutes of the Arabic from the Sheikh, and then we'll stop there, inshallah ta'ala.
صلى الله على سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه وسلم ولا حول ولا قوة إلا بالله العلي العظيم. قال أبو عبد الله الفقيه محمد بن أبي زمانين الله عنه: لله الذي يشكر على ما أنعم وعاقب على ما لو شاء صم. وصلى الله على محمد خاتم النبيين وعلى آل محمد أجمعين.
الذي يشكر.
حسن الله. الحمد لله الذي يشكر على ما به وعاقب على ما لو شاء منه عصم. وصلى محمد خاتم النبيين وعلى آل محمد أجمعين. ومن هوى مضل وعمل غير متقبل. وأسأل اليقين العون على اتباع سبيل المؤمنين. فإن بعض أهل الرغبة في اتباع السنة سألني أن أكتب له أحد.
One of the students of the Sheikh is reading the text of the book by Imam Ibn Abi Zamanin, rahimahullah, and then the Sheikh is going to. So one of the students, he made a grammatical error in the words of the Sheikh of the book, and you hear Sheikh Abdul Razak correct him.
حديث يشرف على مذاهب الأئمة في اتباع السنة والجماعة الذي يقتدى بهم وينتهى إلى رأيهم وما كانوا يعتقدونه ويقوله في الإيمان بالقدر وعذاب القبر والحوض والميزان والصراط والجنة والنار والطاعة والشفاعة والنظر إلى الله عز وجل يوم القيامة. بما سأل عن تأليف هذا الكتاب وزادني رغبة فيه ما رأيته على تعلم في ترك السؤال والبحث عن أصول الإيمان والدين وشرائع المسلمين. قد ألزمه الله عز وجل ذلك بقوله: فاسألوا أهل الذكر إن كنتم لا تعلمون. وذلك لا عذر لعالم في كتمان ما يسأل عنه مما فيه كتاب ناطق أو سنة قائمة عمن يجهله. والميثاق الذي أخذه للميثاق الذي أخذه الله تبارك وتعالى على العلماء لتبيننه للناس تكتمونه ولا توفيق إلا عليه توكلت وإليه أنيب.
نعم، هذه مقدمة استهل بها رحمه الله تعالى كتابه، وبين خلالها سبب تأليفه للكتاب. بعض أهل الرغبة في واتباع السنة سأله أن يكتب كتابا يشرف من خلاله أن يطلع على مذاهب الأئمة في اتباع السنة الذي يقتدى بهم وينتهى إلى رأيهم. هذا شخص حريص على العلم، حريص على السنة، توجه إلى هذا الإمام بهذا السنة. ومن ذلك الشخص الذي لا يعلم من هو إلا الله سبحانه وتعالى هذه الثمرة العرك بقي ينتفع به إلى وقت، والدال على هذه الرغبة التي قام ذلك الشخص وترتب عليها تأليف هذا الكتاب له أجر ونور من هذا المؤلف وفضل الله سبحانه وتعالى. حقيقة ينبغي أن يستفيد منه طالب العلم وألا يقل من الخير شيئا. قد تسأل عالما سؤالا وتطلب من عالم أن يؤلف كتاب في قلبك للانتفاع أو الآخرين، ثم يجري الله سبحانه وتعالى خيرا لا تعلمه في حياتك وبعد مماتك. وعلى طالب العلم أن يكون كذلك عظيم الرغبة، حسن النية، حريصا على إفادة نفسه وانه. وقد يترتب على سؤال واحد من راء حريص من الفائدة والنفع ما لا حصر له في حال مماته، وهذا شاهد نراه على ذلك. فينبغي على طالب العلم أن يستفيد من مثل هذه المواقف، وأن يكون عظيم الرغبة في الخير، حسن النية، عظيم الهمة. وهذا العالم رحمه الله أشار إلى أنه زاد في تأليف كتاب ما رأى حرصا في ذلك السائل على تعلم ما يلزمه تعلمه. وبين في هذا الباب أن الحريص على العلم والفائدة لا عذر له في ترك السؤال، لا عذر له في ترك السؤال، فإنه مأمور إذا كان يجهل أن يسأل من عنده علم، فاسألوا أهل الذكر إن كنتم لا تعلمون. عذر للعالم في الباب، لأن الله سبحانه وتعالى أخذ الميثاق على أهل العلم لتبينون الناس لا تكتمونه. فالحاصل هذه المقدمة بين من خلالها رحمه الله تعالى سبب لهذا الكتاب. نعم.
باب.
طيب, a few words يا إخوان before we close out إن شاء الله. طيب, so we have طالب العلم. طيب, طالب العلم, student of, or seeker of knowledge, can be both. The word talib has a few different meanings. It can be a seeker and it can be someone studying. So you can say a student of knowledge. You can say a seeker of knowledge. No. They both are there. طيب طالب العلم. طيب, what's another word you have? طيب, مثلا, when you give an example. مثلا, for example. Good. Example. Right, one more, Sister Valesi. شخص. طيب. شخص is a person, individual. شخص. Good. شخص is a person or individual. Can be a male or female. A person. شخص. Who else, يا إخوان, has a few words? Santi, Sister Valesi. طيب, he mentioned the phrase في حياتك وبعد في حياتك, through your life, حياة, or during your life, وبعد, and after your death, وبعد, there should be an ain, وبعد مماتك, throughout your life and after your death. Seeking knowledge, it's a tremendous reward, ya ikhwan, for the seeker of knowledge. And this is something that we forget about, myself included. Writing, translating, teaching. حياتك وبعد مماتك. That you have a tremendous opportunity, ماذا, to leave something behind. You're doing something in this life, and you teach one person, and then you die, and then that person lives from some of the knowledge you share with them, and then they pass on that knowledge. All these are good deeds in your grave. You teach one hadith, and she taught someone, and then she taught someone, and they taught someone. All those good deeds you get a share of his reward, a share of her reward, a share of her reward. You authored a book, you wrote an explanation, you translated, and then someone after your death watches that class or reads that book or benefits from that translation. You get all those good deeds. You help build a well, and that's continuous water and water and water after your death. So during your life and after your death. And that's a reminder, ikhwan, what are we doing in our life? Many of us have knowledge. Many of the students of knowledge have knowledge. Many of the brothers and sisters have knowledge. What are they doing with their knowledge? Are you teaching it? Are you disseminating it? Are you passing it on? Are you authoring and writing? طيب, this should be, sorry, 1 second, ikhwan. This aleph shouldn't be there. Haya. Oh, should be an aleph after the ya. Haya. No. Haya. طيب. What's another phrase you have? المد. طيب, شكرا. I beat you to that. ينبغي. It's a nice phrase, ya ikhwan. ينبغي. ينبغي. Now, ينبغي has a few different meanings. ينبغي على. طيب, ينبغي can mean is obligatory. Some scholars use it like that. ينبغي على. It's a must. It's obligatory. ينبغي على. It's a must. It's a requirement. For example, upon. It's a must upon. Whatever he said there. No. Alright. Where's Sakina? We didn't hear from Sakina today. Sakina, give us a word. Give us a phrase from the Sheikh. Raise your voice. MashaAllah. Every student of knowledge This is going to be your favorite word, ya ikhwan. The niyyah, your intention. Why are you doing it? Why are you coming to class? Why are you going to the masjid for that lesson? Why are you watching this audio? Your niyyah. Why are you doing it? The intention. I sent you. So let's give us one more phrase, one more word, and then we'll conclude for tonight's lesson, inshallah.
You also mentioned that.
All right, muqaddimah. This should be Arabic. All right, muqaddimah. All right, muqaddimah can be the introduction. Hit forth first. Muqaddimah can be a prelude, introduction, something you study first, something that's put forth first. Introduction. Our sister Nadira says, okay, you don't have to have a phrase. Give us a word. Give us one word you heard the Sheikh say. One word. Remember, the benefit can be one word, ya ikhwan. The more you listen, you're going to hear more words and more words and more words. Give us one word. It's okay. It could be one word. No problem.
One word I heard was Zaina.
Hey, mashallah. Hey, you got many words. Allah Akbar. Hey, now. The Sheikh said a few times, Bayyana. Bayyana means to clarify. Bayyana. To clarify. To make something clear. To clarify. You can also pick to explain. That's it. You got many words. It's not the amount, ya ikhwan. Remember, seeking knowledge has nothing to do with the amount. Nah. We're not to lip profess. We're not learning to say, oh, look at me, look at me. No, your knowledge is what's practiced. Your knowledge is what's carried out. Kama qala Shafi'i rahimahullah, like a Shafi used to say. All right, so today we did a listening drill. We listened to a few minutes of the explanation of our Shaykh Abdul Razak al-Badr as he explains the Usul al-Sunnah by Imam Ibn Abi Zamanin rahimahullah ta'ala, and the book is called Usul al-Sunnah, the foundations of the Sunnah, talking about the issues of Aqidah. So we'll stop there, inshallah. فَنَسَبْتُ فَمِنَ اللَّهِ وَأَنْ أَخْطَأْتُ مِنْ نَفْسِي. Anything that we said that's correct is from Allah. Anything we said is incorrect is from ourselves. وَجَزَاكُمْ اللَّهُ خَيْرًا. وَالسَّلَامُ عَلَيْكُمْ وَرَحْمَةُ اللَّهِ وَبَرَكَاتُهُ. وعليكم السلام ورحمة الله وبركاته.
Goodbye.